Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Truth Seekers Show. The show that is specifically designed to help us to fulfill our life purpose in this world properly. By giving information, motivation, pleasure, and healing. I'm your host, Rabbi Eliezer Karp. This is the Truth Seekers Show number 10. Get ready for a whole lot of truth and a whole lot of love. Your host, Rabbi Eliezer Karp. Hey guys, hope you're all okay. I have one sentence that I think answers every possible question. It's an if-then statement. And with this one statement, I think we have all our answers to every question you could possibly imagine at this point in our history. So I'll say it to you. If every Gentile would fulfill the 7 obligations, the 7 laws of Noah, and every Jewish person would fulfill their 613 obligations in the Torah, and both Gentiles and Jews would fulfill the 10 steps to immortality, then our Creator would take away this punishment, this virus, and we'd be able to serve Him, hopefully with peace. That's my statement. I've been listening to the news. I've been watching CNN. I've been watching Fox, local news. I've been hearing people chatter and talk on Facebook and here and there. I know people want to open up places. I live in Florida, actually, and they want to open up the schools. Come time, when it's time, and I don't know how to really, I could pose ideas on how to answer that question, but I think that if-then statement solves all the problems. If we would just fulfill the purpose of life, then these problems would go away. They're not coming out of nowhere, these problems, these punishments, this virus, this elongated virus that just keeps plaguing us, that doesn't want to leave. It comes from Hashem. It comes from our Creator. So the quicker we realize that, and the quicker that we internalize that and take that to heart and realize we have to do something to fix it. We're not here for pleasure in this world. There's one thing I hate about this gig is repeating myself over and over again. I hope I'll have to get over that, because I heard to be a good teacher you have to repeat things many times. And I think it says in the Gemara somewhere something 101 times, I think, maybe it was 1,001. I think it was 101. I might be wrong. I've seen it before, but I don't remember what it is. It's still a large number, whether it's 101 or 1,001. It's still a large number to have to repeat yourself over and over again. I ask myself the question when I have to be faced with that point of repeating information. I think to myself, why aren't people listening the first time it's said? That's what I ask myself. And I try to then ponder all the possible answers that would come to mind as to why that's the case. And I usually blame myself. And then after I get through blaming myself, well, I'm not this, and I'm not that, and I don't know this, and I don't know that, and okay, I got to fix this about myself, got to fix that. After I go through that whole laundry list of stuff that I got to do to fix myself to better serve Hashem as a teacher of information, of His Torah, then I say to myself, well, Hashem, in all fairness, after He lets me go through the whole list, then I look at Him and I think, Hashem, man, I'm trying my best here, and I only have going for me what you've allowed me to have going for me. So whatever I've amassed, whatever kinyan, whatever accomplishment I've made for myself through hard work is whatever I have. And I'm here. I mean, if I had my way, I wouldn't be doing this, I think, right now, because maybe I'm a perfectionist. Maybe I think I should be this, and this, and this, and have this, and this, and this. And then once I got all that together, then I just come out and I say, and then you just know it's right and it's true, but maybe I don't know. Now, then I think to myself, it's funny, because it's not funny, but I guess it's ironic that when Hashem wants something done, then I have to remind myself that there's a virus, I mean, I was all by myself, studying, minding my own business, trying to get things together, working very hard and diligently as best I could, and taking care of my parents, which is hard to do at the same time. I'm trying my best, and I'm trying to give them what they need. And as they get older, they're going through their own stuff, emotionally, mentally, physically, emotionally, mentally. I should always go top down. Spiritually, socially, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I'm trying to give to them, and I find that sometimes I can't give the fulfillment because I'm so striving to get all the information together to help Hashem and to help you and myself, and I'm trying to balance it all, and it's a little difficult. But when he shows me, I mean, I hate for you to be the object of his showing me something that when he wants to, he could bring the whole world, 8 billion people, down a couple of pegs. They think they're hot stuff, pleasure-seeking, enjoying his world and everything. And he just zaps them all. And now they're all at home like me, like I was before. I used to get a little resentful. I mean, I was comfortable with it. I'm 54. I'm not 18 as I was, and have to feel like I got to hit the clubs or something like that or whatever. But I guess at this juncture in my life, I've realized, well, that might not be the right thing to do. I'm here. I got to find a wife. I got to get married and populate the planet so that I make Avdei Hashem, servants of God, people that fulfill the 613 obligations, because I'm Jewish and I have to create a boy and a girl at least, minimally, as children, to fulfill the 613 for Hashem. That's my gig. That's my job. That's my responsibility. So, and then I remind myself, I said, what did Hashem just do? He just zapped everybody with a virus. So, but that's an uncomfortable lesson for me to learn, because then I got to look at all you guys suffering, and I'm suffering along with you. I don't like putting on the mask. I did it. I was quarantined for like 14 days. I self-quarantined myself because I was out playing some gigs and stuff, and you never know who's carrying or breathing on you accidentally. You don't know that kind of stuff. So I tried to be responsible to protect my mother. And I did it as best as I could. And then I followed the science, as you say. You're also into the science. I'm into the science too, but there's also this metaphysical science, and I don't even want to demean it by calling that. It's really just the truth of life. There's a God. There's a creator of the universe who made us, who put us here for a purpose. He didn't put us here just to do whatever the heck we want to do. That's just not right. That's not the way it should be. And you guys just don't want to pay attention to that, or something. I know some of you are. I know you're hopping it, you're understanding it, and you're paying attention. But there's others of you that just, the wheels are turning, and you just want to get out there and get things going. And ironically, you want to keep the gyms open. I find that interesting. Why would you want to keep the gym open? If anything, if anything, what can compete with that? I mean, you got the supermarket, so we can get food. And I know this is very troublesome. This is very problematic. I heard on the news there, a couple of people point out the points very nice and clearly, and I get them. I see it's like, the parents want the kids to go back to school. I get that. and the kids want to go back to school, but you know, if it is what they call a petri dish of virus out there, you know, and then they're going to bring it home. Then they want to say, well, the kids don't get the virus. I mean, you changing the facts or you keeping the facts? What are the facts? The kids don't get the virus as much as the adults do. Or you want to bend that one so you can send them off to the school. I mean, to be honest, I listen to the news and I listen to people, and I don't know who to trust anymore with getting the facts. You know, I like CNN putting up in the top right corner when I'm watching I like to see how many, God forbid, chas v'sholom or how many deaths there are in the world. That's my most important thing that I look at, because I want to see, you know, who's this affecting. And I did a little math. You know, I'm no doctor, I'm no scientist, I'm no virucologist, I think they're called, like the Dr. Fauci. I'm not one of them, so I could be. If you filled me in, I would have the info, and I could probably try to help as best I could. But I just see that number up there, and okay, so there's about, forgot what it was. Let me see if I remember. Was it 350,000? No, I forgot the number, but it came out. I figured out that in 5,000 years we'd all be dead. 8 billion people, we'd all be dead in 5,000 years. Now, supposedly, I'm telling you what I've learned from the Torah, we only have about 220 years left on the planet, to my knowledge, because this is the correct Hebrew year, 5,780. And I think we only have till 6,000, and then Hashem has to, you know, end this whole story, so to speak. I think the world comes to a conclusion, and that's it. So, and there's a couple of things that have to happen before that time period. So, you know, I'm cognizant of things, and I'm watching and trying to see what's what. So if there are only 220 years, you know, now that I see that, then that kind of makes sense, that he won't destroy the world by a flood. You know, there's that sentence that he won't destroy the world by a flood ever again. And I was told he won't destroy the entire world. Well, so I figured out, I saw the death rate for the 4 months that we've been doing this, April, May, June, July. Let's say it's about 4 months, right? So I multiplied the amount of deaths that I saw in the right-hand corner by 3, and I think I got, it was 1,620,000 deaths per year, and I divided that into 8 billion people. I divided 8 billion people by 1,620,000. I think I got close to 5,000 years it would take for the whole world to be destroyed. Now that kind of, it's funny, after all that math, that kind of explains to me that pasuk, that sentence in the Torah, because now I kind of understand, oh, I see, Hashem's he could spread it out over 5,000 years, but there's only 220 years left. So now that doesn't mean he doesn't up it, you know, I'm looking at I don't know if it's on a graph, you call it the vertical, and I know there are these horizontal factors that the virologists know that I don't know. So I just looked at it, okay, there's 4 months and this many deaths, so let's multiply that by 3. I know I'm leaving out those horizontal factors that can change the peak of things and whatnot, whatever. I'm aware of that. However, it explains to me, you know, what could be. I mean, this could not end, this virus, unless we get wise to what we're doing, or what we're more specifically not doing. We're not fulfilling the purpose of life. That is a problem. That is a big problem. That is problematic, and that is a big problem, and it's causing all these punishmental issues, I guess you could say, right? So I want to get out of it as quickly as you do. You know, I don't like it. I'm very uncomfortable, and I have to suffer along with you. And sometimes I get a little resentful because, you know, I'm trying to make every action an OFA, obligation fulfilling action, and I'm working hard at this. And, you know, it's like being on a team. You know, I played optimist ball, basketball. You know, it's like maybe at times I might have been the weakest link on some of those teams, and I felt bad for the other team members, you know. I mean, that wasn't my thing. I just did it, and I tried to be good. I think I was maybe a little less than average. I don't think I was so great. There were much better players, and I felt bad for them. I hope I didn't make them lose. So I understand how you guys might feel, but now I'm in their shoes, and here I'm trying to play some heavy ball here, and you guys don't want to play ball. So how do we get together? Because you're pulling things down. I'm working so hard. I'd like to see other people making every action an OFA, obligation fulfilling action. And then we work together and we pick each other up and we help each other. Just having two people doing the right things, working. Boy, if I had a wife that wanted to fulfill all the obligations, and I guess that's a helpmate. That's when Hashem brings me a helpmate and we work together and fulfill all the obligations together and lift each other up when the other's down. All right, that's having a wife, and we can also do this being amongst each other in civilization. We're part of a civilization. We're part of a world of 8 billion people. This virus teaches us to be sensitive to each other. I'm going to digress for a second, but I see that, I was going to let me finish my first statement, is that we're all part of this 8 billion people conglomerate, or whatever you want to call it, this conglomeration of this grouping of 8 billion people on this circular planet, and we should all be helping each other to fulfill the purpose of life. Or else, what are we doing here? This is not a pleasure place. This is not a pleasure palace where we just do whatever we want. It took me a long time to come to those realizations. I'm patient with you. I know you're not getting it yet. And again, as Hashem bears down upon us all with the punishment, and He doesn't make it go away, and then everyone just hits the beach and everything, party, and hey dudes, let's party, forget the mask, let's party. They're hanging out, they're having a great time, and then zap, the hospitals are filled with all these young people. So we're not getting away with nothing. You can't mess with Him. You can't trick Him. He knows our thoughts, our very thoughts. So don't mess with Him. Don't try. You're going to lose. We're going to lose. And I say we because, look, we're all part of each other, and I'm trying so hard, and I got to learn the whole Torah. There are people that know the Torah better than me, and they might not make every action in OFA. That's my claim on them. I'd like to see some of those people that know the whole Torah and are making every action in OFA with intent, and doing it for Hashem out of love, just to make Him happy, not to get any reward from, in Olam Haba, in the world to come. They're doing it for the right reasons. They're doing the right things for the right reasons, and they're making every action in OFA. It's my way. Some might look at that as that they can't quite fathom that, my Orthodox brothers and sisters, but the thing is, I realize that because I don't know the whole Torah, there's something in the Torah that says you make your actions more than your wisdom. One who excels in his good deeds is greater than one who has great wisdom but doesn't do anything. So I figured, okay, I'll outsmart the whole system. It's already in the system. I just happened to chop it. I heard it and grabbed it. Hashem put it in my purview and my attention, and I realized, okay, here's my way to make myself righteous, saintly, and holy right now. Make every action an obligation-fulfilling action. That way my deeds excel past my knowledge and my wisdom. And I knew that long ago. Do it. Do it. What are you waiting for? It's so easy. It's right in front of you. It's not a big, long trip. It's just an act of free will. Bam, I'm making this action in OFA. Bam. Then the next one comes along, next opportunity. Bam, you make that the next one. And you just keep doing that all day long. And I do it, and I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm not angry. I'm not mad at Him. He makes it bearable. He meets me halfway, so to speak. It's even more than that. He meets me at the start line and helps me through the finish line. But, I had to first initialize it and say, this is what my life is going to be. I'm giving it over to Him because it really doesn't belong to me, my life. It's His life. He gave me this life. Did I ask for this life? Did I ask to be here? It says you're born against your will, you die against your will, and you have to answer to Hashem against your will, whether you fulfilled the obligations properly or not. So, taking into consideration all those points that I've learned over the years, I came up with this approach where I just make every action in OFA. I'm giving up my whole life. Take it, Hashem. It's yours. Do whatever you want with it. I don't want it. You want it? It's yours. Right back at you. And that's my attitude. And I think that's the attitude that every human being should take. It's not an evil attitude that by any chas v'sholom blame her. It's not an evil attitude. It's a good attitude. Maybe I'm saying it in a, because I have to fight my Yetzer Hara to, every time I say it, I have to realize, all the bubblings of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, it wants to make you do, I want to go get the ice cream, I want to go play football, I want to go back to school with my friends, I want to get the kids out of the house so I can do my thing, I go to work, I want to go back to work, I want to make some money so I can feel like I'm a person, I want to feel important again, all these Yetzer Hara desires that we have that get in the way of the most important thing, which is making Hashem happy and fulfilling the purpose for which we were created, the purpose of life. Hold on. Okay. Teach me how to see. It looks like there's nobody watching right now. And I know that's not true because then I see comments and I see that people have been there. Maybe they just stopped by and said, hi, I don't know what they're doing. Whatever, it's your business. You want to, just make me happy and then, I can't gauge, are people really into this? Should I stop doing this? Should I continue? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep forging ahead. I'm going to keep putting this information out there because I think you're going to break. You're going to break sooner or later because you're not going to be able to handle it. I think you're breaking right now. You want to keep living with masks on your faces and stuff, you're going to realize this is a punishment from Hashem. Again, there are no atheists. First of all, there's no such thing as an atheist. An atheist logically would have to prove that there is no God. So that's an incorrect statement. There are no atheists in a foxhole. But that's why I once said it has some truth to it. The truth is that when your life is threatened, you quickly realize that there's a God. And that, hey, what the heck am I doing here? How did I get here? And now I'm suffering, and now my life is in danger. How did I get into this mess? You start asking yourself some questions, and then, bam, the spotlight gets pointed on the boss, because you know that you were created by a creator. You just don't think about it all day, because you're busy with all the things I mentioned before. Sending the kids off to school, going to work, making food, all these things. You wallow in this all day long, every day for the rest of your life, and before you know it, you're dead. Whether it's by a virus or from old age and suffering, because you're eating bad foods, you're stuffing yourself up, you're getting fat, you're getting obese, your skin the grease is coming from the food, the grease, if it's coming out of your face, the pores from your face, the grease, you're feeling terrible. You know it. I know what you're doing. And before you know it, that's the end. So, if you want to have a meaningless life that doesn't fulfill the purpose for which you were put here, that's your business. You have free will. You want to make a choice like that? Fine. But someone on the side, some techie, if you could please tell me, how can I tell if people are watching? Sometimes I can't tell, or maybe is it possible that someone can come to a viewing like this and they don't want their self seen, which is fine. I don't mind that either. You want to play games, do whatever you want. You want me to see. You don't want me to see that you're listening or that you're interested. Whatever. Maybe it's good for me. I don't want any pleasure from this. I really don't. I want self-satisfaction that I'm putting forth what's needed and it fulfills those needs. And that's, I think, the only thing I need to gauge this by, because I want Hashem to be happy and I want Him to know that I'm trying my best, and I'd like it if some result would come from this. I wish that the world would change. I see that I get a little, again, I don't know if it's jealous, it's envious, no. I see people protest and all these statues are coming down, So this is what has to be done to get things accomplished. That's a rude way of having to, who the heck wants to protest in the first place? What a waste of time and effort. And I want to say it like this. I know when you're passionate about something, let me pick the correct words. When you're going out to do something like that, it's such a striving, such an extra effort that you have to put out when it should be just so simple. I believe that if I just say the truth, it should be just heard and done. It should be taken to heart and done. I don't know why this is such a laborious task. So, and I see the statues coming down, and look, I'm not saying I'm against them, I'm not saying I'm for it. I told you what I thought. We don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, so I'm gathering. I see guys everyone has good hearts, and I see they're trying to please other human beings. Look, this country was based on, we came here, there were Indians here. We pushed our way in. I don't know how we quite did it. I've heard stories, I've heard tell. I've read some things, some people sent me some Indian literature I read a little bit here and there. Some of the answers I was looking for weren't really completely there, but so I don't quite know how they feel completely. What was passed down through their generations and in their families. I don't know exactly how they feel completely. I question, every land in the world belongs to Hashem. He made the land, so who really has claim to anything? Rashi says that our authoritative commentator says that the Jewish people, if accused of stealing the land of Israel, Eretz Israel, we were supposed to answer to them that all the lands in the world belong to Hashem. We could take it. He could take it from whomever he wants and give it to whomever he wants. Okay? It happens that little bit of land has what we need to fulfill our obligations. So for that reason, I'm very inclined to look at it and try to make it work, that we get that land completely without any hostility from anybody, because that is the most logical, right thing to do. That is tied to the purpose of life. The very purpose of life is fulfilled by us having that land of Eretz Israel, of Israel, the land of Israel. So, if he could take that land and give it to us, all the other land in the world belongs to him too. So how do you go about acquiring it? I guess we could study the history. I guess we'll get to it eventually, how people ended up in various lands. The Germans were in Germania, or there's different. I've heard those things. I know I'm cognizant of that too, but some things don't make sense to me. I'll try to iron them out. I guess Hashem's having me iron them out with you and in front of you. But, so here we are in this country, and I guess maybe how do I say this? Maybe the facade needs to drop. Maybe that's the problem here. There's a facade, like everything's all peachy keen. It's not, we came here, we either were invited by the Indians to stay. Why didn't we just get back on those ships and hightail it out? We see there's other people here that own the place or occupying the place. I guess we figure, well, there's other parts of the place. They don't have the whole place. So maybe we decide, okay, you take the left and we'll take the right and we'll be neighbors. Maybe that was the way it worked. I don't know. So I guess in that sense, maybe Hashem is happy and proud to see us all existing and coexisting in this place together without bothering each other. But I don't know if that was the case. I've heard some stories otherwise, that were there was some fighting and things amongst the Indians and the people from European places there. But maybe he has another agenda. Maybe he wants this land only for this, or only for them, only for these ones, or those ones. Who knows? You got to find out. Maybe that takes some study. And maybe it's a deducible concept. Maybe it's something that you could see in the psukim, in the Torah, in the sentences, and you can deduce it. I'm working on my mind 10 exercises I came up with. I'm still working on it. It's going to take a little time. It's very tedious. I got to translate things into Hebrew and Aramaic. And I got to get the key words, the signpost words. So I'm working on that. When that's finished, I'm going to get back to business with the whole Torah through in English. But I think this is such a necessary thing. We need to know how to think. We don't know how to think. That's one of our problems. But back to, so this is going to help that, I think. That I was going to work on those 10 exercises. God willing, I'll give it to you, and we'll work on them together, and we'll think more logically. We'll be able to deduce. And I had a couple of insights. I've been working on impersonations for the other show, and I see how the detectives, the great minds, Columbo and Sherlock Holmes, I see how they thought, and so Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote that book there, and I could see, that was like a very innovative thing. A lot of detectives, I once watched a documentary how detectives use Sherlock Holmes as like a basis for deductive reasoning and whatnot. I saw in one of the exercises, actually in exercise 7 and 8, when you make a complete picture of every subject and action, then you can start to deduce things. Plus we talk about in exercise 4, I believe, is about implicit statements, inferences and whatnot. If explicit statements, I didn't finish these 10 when I was saying them last time. Let me just say them real quick. The 10 exercises, one is to know the 3 processes of the mind. Then there are explicit statements, all the possible explicit statements, all possible subject and predicate combinations. There are only 3 possible subjects and 11 possible predicates, and all their truth needs. Then you have implicit statements, inferences that are deduced from explicit statements, and their truth needs. Then you got, I'm sorry, I skipped one. That was 3. There were seven elements of debate, which are the 7 purposes for any statement. I also found there are speakers have intentions, and then statements have purposes. So depending on the speaker's intention, he'll use a statement with a purpose. That's step 2, right? 3 and 4 is explicit statements, implicit statements, then comparing statements and all the outcomes of those comparisons. Then you've got proof presentations, all the possible syllogisms. I believe there are only 4. And then you got proof types and all their possible refutations. So this will help us, I'm going to tell you something in a second. This will help us know the truth even more clearly. I think it's time we know how to think. I think Hashem's helping us to finally clear away. I can see clearly now the rain's gone. I can see clearly now, you have to have conscious control over your mind's thoughts so that you know what you're doing, so that you don't have false thoughts come into your head because you don't have a system for getting to the truth without error. Okay, then you got proof types and their refutations. Then you've got subject and action. 8 and 9 are subject and action charts where you write out the entire what, why, and how, and I'll have all the logical terminology that exists for each, the subject and the action, to describe it completely and thoroughly. And then you've got these 10 steps that these 2 books I was reading, Derech Tevunos, which I really think, if I'm not mistaken, it means the way of reasons, yet it was translated as the ways of reason, which I don't quite understand. So maybe I'm missing something, and I'm a little rusty on my diktuk, on my Hebrew. Maybe there's one little point I'm missing. And then there's that Sefer HaHigayon, so the way of reasons and the book of logic. And in those 2 books, one of the books, it lists these 10 steps on how to study anything. So if you want to study the Gemara, you want to study the Talmud and know what our Creator wants from us, that should be the first pursuit and concern that we should have. And then after that, we could study anything, physics, chemistry, biology, anything you want to know or need to know, everything we need to know should be easily and readily available to us to find the truth. We should be able to penetrate the truth of any topic of life using these 10 exercises. And I noticed that the powers of deduction, all my forensic friends and my detectives, from steps, what was it? It was 8 and 9, right? from those two charts, you get all the powers of, all the tools for deduction. I'll get to it when I get to it, and I'll, God willing, share it with you, and we'll, hopefully with all your field experience, we'll take it to the next level. You know, you'll help me, and I'll help you, and we'll come to ultimate truth. We'll figure out this whole world in which we live, and we'll understand it. So I need a techie to help me figure out first how to tell if someone's watching or not. How many? I see at the end I got all these circles. You know, when you turn it off, when you turn off the video and I say goodnight, then after that I see there are all these circles there. How can I click on that and see who just watched the show? Because then after the show I see I had like close to 100 or more, you know, viewers, and I didn't see any of them when I go back to just check the camera, make sure I'm on. So if you can help me with that little tech thing, I'd appreciate it. All right, so that's everything in a nutshell there. You know, you got to fulfill the purpose of life. That's why he's breathing down our necks and bugging us with this virus, Hashem. He's gnawing at us because we ignore him. We ignore him, and he keeps gnawing at us. You know, when are we going to get the message? We're not here for what you want to do. We're here for what he wants us to do. Fulfill these 7 obligations in 613 and the 10 steps to immortality. You'll be happy. You'll be self-satisfied that you're doing the right thing with your life. And you will feel good about yourself. You'll be happy. You'll go to sleep good at night because you know that you're doing the best for Hashem. I'm telling you, listen, if you don't have that attitude that I have, it may sound a little, I don't know if it's arrogant. It's not arrogance. The only arrogance I permit myself, really, but I know that I'm working hard for Hashem, and I know if, God forbid, Chas v'sholom, B'lei Anahar, wanted to remove me from this place, well, that would be his loss. Really, it would be his loss, because I don't want nothing from this place. Sure, there are plenty of things I enjoy about the world that he's created. I mean, he makes everything pleasurable. So when you fulfill those 7, 6, 13, and 10, don't worry, he's going to take care of you. He's going to make sure you're a happy camper. You're not going to be miserable. Do it in the easiest way possible that you can. You know, I'll go through them in a second maybe, but if you don't have that same thought that I have, then you're not working hard to serve Hashem. And I don't care who you are. If you're an Orthodox Jewish person, a colleague of mine, and you don't feel like Hashem, if you took, God forbid, took me out of this place, then that's your loss. If you don't feel that, then you haven't reached the level where you are fulfilling the purpose of life. And I'm on the basic level. I just make every action an obligation fulfilling action. That's my claim to righteousness and saintliness and holiness. Because what more can I do at my level of knowledge? 54, I only know a certain amount of Torah. I'm plowing away. I make that my next major thing. And maybe of those obligations, that's what I was saying before, maybe of those OFAs that I do daily are to fulfill mostly my basic life-sustaining needs. I got to go shopping, I got to get food, I got to do this, I got to do that. But I do it all for him. So 547, don't endanger my health. Don't do guard. 546, do guard my health. Those are the obligation numbers. So I do that for him all day long. It sounds amazing, and it is. It really is. I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing. I'm sharing it with you. I'm telling you what I'm doing. And that's why I have that thought that sounds kind of arrogant, but my little only permitted arrogance where I just say, Hashem, I'm here to help you. I'm going to try to get this world to fulfill the purpose of life for you so that you are a happy camper. I want to make you happy. I want you to realize, I'm a creator too. I'm a musician. Of course, I create, I don't know if that's something from nothing. I create something from something. He made the something that I'm creating things from. I have these pitches, these 12 pitches, whatever, that repeat themselves. But, I know how it feels like you create something and you don't want to feel bad about the work you just created. One of my friends wrote a song, and or was part of the production of the song. I heard the whole song and I liked it. I put a like on it. I wanted him to know that it affected me. It made me feel good about my life. It made me feel something. He moved me. He inspired me to live and serve Hashem more and better than the day before. So I put a like on it because I know how it feels maybe this is one creator to another. Here I've been bestowed this gift to create pieces, musical pieces and other pieces in all the performing and forming arts. And I realize that, it takes a lot out of you. Now for him, of course, he's perfect and ultimately powerful, and to him probably creating a human being is like not even batting an eyelid. I don't know, but whatever. We can get into all these existential points at another point in time. I think the Rambam talks about these types of things. But my point is that I want him to feel like he's not angry and upset that he made us. So I'm going to do whatever I can to make him happy. I want to do everything I can in all my powers. That's why I put all those performing and forming arts down there. I'm going to do them all. Whatever's permitted, even some things maybe with loopholes in order to get people to fulfill the purpose of life. Whatever has to be done to get people to do the right thing and fulfill the purpose of life. You'll feel better about yourself if you do this. If you keep ignoring it, he's going to keep bugging us with this punishment, and it's not going away. You want to mess around with your contact tracing? How are you possibly going to contact trace? I can't even. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. How am I going to remember? I can remember it. I'm just saying, jokingly, how can you trace every person you came in contact with? I go to Publix, I go to a supermarket, I walk inside. There's so many people in there. How can I remember every single person? It's not futzing, it's not messing around, excuse my language. How can you even predict? How can you estimate or contemplate, even begin to contemplate that and give a logical, rational answer? I must have come in contact with 350 people. They're all passing me by, up and down aisles, this and that. How can I possibly give you that? Fulfill the purpose of life and stop trying to escape the truth. I'm telling you, you're wasting your time. You get married, you have kids because you think it's going to be fun. Fun. It's a lot of hard work. I see. It's going to be a lot of hard work. I pray he'll give me the strength. Hope I can get married soon before I'm, 65 and can't play catch with my son or give good advice to my daughter, Chas Shalom B'nai Hara, about dating boys or something. I don't know. Whatever. I pray Hashem should. I trust him. But then again, if I'm living eternally, if I'm living immortally, look, there's some tricks I got up my sleeve too. I know about those gifts that Hashem gives. I know that I could probably make myself younger or do some things. There's some things there that can be done. It's part of the gifts, but you gotta, you reach that level. So. You make every action an OFA, and then you'll be in my shoes, and you'll know what I'm talking about, and you'll understand. Right now, maybe you can't fathom it, so you think, oh, Larry's, he's out there in La La Land. I've had that for years. I'm tired of it. All right, so Hashem gave you the virus now, made you secluded, and now you have to figure out how to get out of this mess, and really, this is the only information. Surprise! This is it right here. 7, 6, 13, and 10. You want to keep making fun of me? All these years you've been making fun of me. All my family, friends, colleagues, everyone's picking on me. Oh, Larry's... He's out there, man. Well, I'm sorry. I think I'm very logical, very sane, very rational, very in touch with reality. But I'm in touch with the whole reality, not just the science, but the fact that God's in charge of the world. I know from experience. And I've lived 54 years, so I know how he's dealt with me all these years. I know he's there. I know He's there. I know you guys see miracles every day. I know. So think about that. Think that He's a master of disguise, but then He lets you see Him and take a little peek once in a while. Oh, Hashem is here. And then you realize, oh man, He just saved me from this, or He just gave me this when I never thought I could possibly have this. He gave it to me. And you know all the ways and the miracles. I don't have to go into that, but so I know He's there, and I know that that's the reality. And I'm in touch with that reality. And I know the facts of the Torah. I've learned a lot of them. I went to a lot of shiurim, a lot of classes. I've heard Rabbi speak. Many years, at least 25, 30 years of classes and talks. So I've taken in all the information, and I know, I'm sure they've covered some of the highlights. When I go through the Gemara, I'm going through the Yerushalmi, and I see a lot of things are dealing with, the laws of such and such. But then there's this little kernel of a sentence that comes along, that tells, it's like gold, You're supposed to look at every bit of Torah as like someone counting diamonds or pearls or gold or whatever. Like that's how you're supposed to be so attentive to Torah. And I catch it, and there's that one, I highlight it too. You see I have my books, and I highlight that sentence, because that sentence is a life changer. It tells you how to live in the world in a general fashion so that you know how to deal with all the other more specific details of fulfilling your obligations for Hashem. So I'm aware of that, and I think in 30 years I must have heard most, if not all of them. I don't think, I trust that there were a lot of, very well-versed. I had some very good teachers, including my Rav. I had a lot of well-versed people who taught me a lot of Torah, and I know I had to have covered those sentences that I say to you, something I don't know the source of it, but I know I've heard it before. So, sometimes I wish you guys would help me, and that's in Pirkei Avos, so that comes from this, that comes from that. I wish you'd help me once in a while. I don't have the wherewithal to go check everything that comes out of my head. I got a lot of stuff back there, a lot of stored Torah that I sometimes can't source that quickly and readily. So it's nice if you can help me. If you can't help me, you don't want to help me, you don't even want to tell me you're there, that's your business. So you're the one that's losing out, whatever. Whatever. I don't care. You want to do whatever you want to do. I'm patient, and to the best of my abilities, I sometimes wonder if a project's worthy of one's attention. If it doesn't seem to bear fruit, after a while you get a little bit, hey, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But I think with the backdrop of this virus, I'm just going to forge ahead, because I know that you desperately need this information, and you cannot live your life without it. So I'm going to keep putting it in your face, and I don't care if you're watching. I know some of you are seeing it. You go there, you click on. I know, I see, and I appreciate your kind words here and there to let me know you're here, and your likes and whatnot. I know that everyone who sees it doesn't always put a like on it, which is, okay, so you don't want me to know you're there, or you don't even like it because it goes against your grain, but at least you're opening your ears and your minds to hear it, and that I appreciate too, and I know he appreciates it, and I'm trying to be his mouthpiece, because that's how this world works. We human beings have to be his mouthpiece. He's the master of disguise, and he wants to keep it that way. He's complete humble humility. He created the whole world, and yet he doesn't want to be seen. And yet we are supposed to thank him and appreciate, maybe we're supposed to learn gratitude. That, I think, is one of the main themes of why this whole thing exists called life, is for us to learn gratitude. Okay? So the first thing you got to do is open your mind and realize there's a purpose to life. So I know that this information is desperately needed, whatever, If it's not me that's doing it, someone else would teach it. So I'm just saying that I shouldn't attach any importance to myself. Rather, yet I know my place, and I know I'm trying to do the right thing, and I'm going to keep at it. But I need to have some barometer sometimes to know, how to weigh what to say. Sometimes, if no one's listening, maybe I shouldn't. I was going to give the curses that befall the Jewish people if we don't fulfill our obligations, but. This is I came to the conclusion this is a group effort, Gentiles and Jews. Jews and Gentiles, I should say it like that, maybe. So the order may be more correct, because we're all being punished. And we all need to get out of this mess, and we need to help each other. I think the virus is helpful. When we all wear our masks, we are very sensitive to one another. I like the things that they say on the news, wear your mask because you care about me and I care about you. That's why I wear my mask, to care about you. I don't want you to get anything, and I don't want to get anything. Look, in Torah, there are levels of strictness to things. There are a couple of things I didn't mention. I was debating whether I should mention them, but I will put it out there just as things to think about, but not to hold by on the mainstream of things. Like, look, if one person has on a mask, I would think it's at least better than neither of them having a mask. I saw one of my friends ask that online, but of course, it's more helpful when two people are wearing the mask, right? And they're distancing. Look, I think that's the only physical way we can protect ourselves and maybe flatten that curve, as you say, is just by distancing and wearing the masks. I don't know how good this contact tracing is going to be. I don't know if it's so practical. I don't know if that's going to happen. Also, the vaccination or the cure for this thing, maybe that, I don't know, the president of Brazil, I think, is taking that drug, which I can't pronounce right now, and the syllables escape me, but amoxichloroquine, and I can't say it right now, but I don't know if there's truth to it. I guess we'll see. I get mixed reports. It's hard to tell the truth from the reports. I don't know what's what, and if I have to say, the health of every human being on this planet is more important than any political agenda or any schedule. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that says, do not say that set times are favorable or unfavorable for an undertaking. Do not say that a set time is like, we have to open the schools at this certain time because, again, I think Dr. Fauci said the virus is the boss. Of course, it's really Hashem that's the boss, using the virus as a stick to wake us up. I suggest you wake up, fulfill the obligations, and then we'll see. Maybe Hashem will allow everyone to go back to school on schedule and everything will happen, and then we'll be in a new normal, the correct normal, which is that we are all aware of the purpose of life and we're all striving to fulfill it as a team with the sensitivities, as a well-oiled machine with those sensitivities that we learned from having the virus, from caring about one another because we wear our mask. We don't want each one to get sick, and you don't want me to get sick. There's a mitzvah in the Torah to cure the person who has oh boy, I'm going to mess this up, but there's the red heifer, the one who uses the cure to help the other, the ailment gets on him. And I could never figure that out, and I realized that it was a complete act of love. It's like wearing your mask. It's like, to me, this is the way I understand it thus far. I haven't seen anything to contradict my reasoning, but the person cures the other person, but instead he gets the ailment placed upon him. And it's almost an act, it's a great act of love. I don't know if it's the Kohen that does that. I forgot exactly, but I know that was what I had. A light bulb went off when I realized that. And also there's something in the Torah that says, scenario, guy A is on the street, guy B is on the street. A sees that there's a big Mack truck behind B. If A pushes B out of the way, the Mack truck will hit A, but it will not hit B. So A pushes B out of the way and saves B's life, and A gets hit by the Mack truck. I once learned, there's something in the Torah, don't quote me on this one because this is a heavy one, but you check it out, but I'm just telling you that something like this exists. No soul is any more important than another soul, so save your soul first. Save your soul first. However, it's noble to give your life for the klal, for the masses. It's noble to give your life for the rest of us. So I guess that's how you answer up what A just did. What an act of kindness. These first responders who go in and they save people from burning buildings and falling buildings and rapes and murders and robberies and they go in. They're like guy A. They're pushing B out of the way, and they get hit by the Mack truck. But hopefully they're so skilled that they can avoid getting hit by the truck too. And with Hashem's help, if they realize that there's a purpose in life and that we have obligations to fulfill, Hashem should bless them with the ability to get out of the way of that truck too. So B's out of the way and A's out of the way too. But A did such a noble act, and these are those people. I love you guys. Thank you so much for helping us to survive through this unbelievable calamity of punishment of Hashem's really bringing out your skills and your devotion and your good hearts, your leiv tovs. He's letting them shine forth. So don't quit. Don't give up hope. Don't let others make you feel vilified or anything. I don't think that the police are villains, you know. That whole issue, it's not exactly what you think it is, you know, what people say it is. There's more to it. I've said it mostly, and that first time I addressed the issue, I said it. I said what's really going on. I said that people should fix themselves, work on themselves, fulfill your obligations, and you won't feel persecuted by other people. I said all that stuff already. So I don't want to rehash it again. I'd have to get into a whole mood to do it, and I don't want to, and forgive me, but you've heard it. You want to go back some tapes, you'll figure out what I was talking about there. I'm just trying to be truthful and honest, but I can't have our policemen psyched out and our firemen psyched out, and you know, why should the policemen be psyched out? They're doing the best that they can. You certainly wouldn't want to do their job and have to go up against what they go up against. That's not right. Nobly, bravely, courageously, they go into harm's way to push the B out of the way of the Mack truck, and if they're blessed and Hashem gets them out of the way so they survive. Who the heck wants to go through that? I wouldn't want that scenario placed before me every day, and they do it every day. It's not right. It's not right to put them in that situation. We should make them very bored. Bored policemen, bored firemen. They should not have any fires to have to fight. No rapists, no murderers, no robbers, nothing. Was crime down when the virus first started? I think it was. I think crime was down. Even the criminals are afraid to come out. You know? So Hashem can start us off at ground zero if that's what he wants. And he does with a punishment like that. Zap. And then it's everyone. The criminals and the heroes have to start, and the rest of us who are the victims, and the victims of the crime, the criminals, the heroes, and the victims. What's the right order for that? Criminals, victims, and heroes. We all start from ground zero. Do we have to keep going back to square one, ground zero all the time? Is that what we have to do? As soon as you're given some freedom, you go out and you start doing bad things. Whatever, that's another point. But hold on. Let me read now from the 613 obligations. Hold on. Okay, I spoke for an hour, sorry. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know regarding our current issues. But see what comes out of the obligations that we have to fulfill. Okay, we're on the 613 obligations for all the Jewish people. Obligation number 201 to until obligation 225. Okay, we'll do our 25 obligations for today in this week. 201. Do not be intimate with your son's wife. Source Vayikra 18:15. Punishment is death by stoning and or kores. Death by heaven's hands, kores. 202. Do not be intimate with your brother's wife. Do not be intimate with your brother's wife. Source Vayikra 18:16. Punishment is kores, death by strangulation. Okay. The next are multiple intimate infractions. You'll understand. 203. Do not be intimate with both a woman and her daughter. Do not be intimate with both a woman and her daughter. So it's just interesting because I made a comparison when I'm studying music. You know, you have individual notes and then you have combinations of notes. And if you notice in any endeavor, any human endeavor, there's the use of individual elements and then those in combination. Chemistry, you know, you have all the elements on that table, and then you have how they react to one another and what's formed by combining them in all possible 2-element combinations, 3-element combinations, whatnot. And you can see that. I've noticed that just myself. I might be wrong, but I think I've noticed that in every area of life. There's individual elements and combinations thereof. And that's a very organized way to approach things. You can apply that and it will help you gain better, quicker, more efficient, more effective results when you know how to approach things like that. So here we have, in Hashem obligating us Jewish people, we have combinations of I don't want to say objects of our intimacy, but there are combinations of people that we're not allowed to be intimate with at the same time, it appears. Do not be intimate. 203. Do not be intimate with both a woman and her daughter. Source Vayikra 18:17. Punishment is death by burning or kores and or kores. 204. Do not be intimate with both a woman and her son's daughter. Source Vayikra 18:17 as well as above. Punishment, death by burning and kores, the same. 205. Do not be intimate with both a woman and her daughter's daughter. Source Vayikra 18:17 again. Punishment, death by burning and kores again. Okay, so we can deduce something from that. I don't know yet, and I don't want to take the liberty of doing that yet, but I'm just letting you know that these things, little flags are going off in my head, lights, you know, that I need to look at that later on. 206. Do not be intimate with two sisters while both are alive. I wrote in there because I think I saw that in the Sefer Chinuch. It was an important little phrase that helps to understand, you know, what's specified here. It's, okay. Do not be intimate with two sisters while both are alive. That's 206. Source is Vayikra 18:18. Punishment is kores. 207. Do not be intimate with a woman when she is ritually unclean from the menses. Source Vayikra 18:19. Punishment is kores, and it produces a child of inferior rank, whatever that means. I don't know if that's I don't even want to guess. I'm not sure. 208. So now we ended the combinations of intimate infractions, and then 207 was that one that went back to the individual. Don't be intimate with a woman when she's ritually unclean from the menses. And now we're on 208. Do not give any of our children to the idol Molech, to the idol Molech. I guess this was done way back. You know, there's some stories that just faintly I'm remembering, but I can't quite articulate them. I don't have enough info in my head. Source Vayikra 18:21, and the punishment it's a negative precept, and it's death by stoning and or kores. 209, do not be intimate with a male. Now this is for a Jewish male. Do not be intimate with a male. We're not allowed to be homosexuals, Jewish people. Gentiles have that same obligation as well. I'm just telling you though, 209. You want to go investigate it, read it. Obligation 209, do not be intimate with a male. The source is Vayikra 18:22. The punishment is death by stoning or chores. Okay? 210, do not be intimate with an animal. You know, it's funny how it's ironic. How come being intimate with an animal is understandable, but yet being intimate with a fellow man, another man, the unnaturalness of that does not bother you? I don't understand why that's the case. I love you guys. I'm not trying to pick on you, and I know there's a lot of emotion involved in this. I'm always sensitive to this one issue because I know it's so, you have this LGBTQ movement and it's very passionate, and yet, you know, I know there are going to have to be some realizations made here. You're going to have to see the truth, and you're going to have to realize, I don't know if anyone ever said it to you like this before. I don't know. I know people have tried over the generations and years, and now we're at a point where, you know, we have this virus plaguing us, and maybe this infraction could have caused some of that virus too. I've heard it said. I didn't bring that up, actually. I've heard it said by other more knowledgeable people than myself who have said such a thing, and I'm just relaying it to you. So there could be, look, we're all not fulfilling any of these things, so we could be punished by the virus. Start with that as your first premise, right? I mean, we're not fulfilling the 7, 6, 13, and 10. Period. We're not. Take it from my view of everybody. I could see there are some pockets of people who are trying hard and doing the best they can with what they know and can't quite think to the next level or whatever. I see that. I know. I watch. But sometimes I see my Jewish Orthodox brothers and sisters not wearing masks, and it ticks me off a bit. It bothers me. I think to myself, okay, and I judge it favorably. I think maybe you're holding by some higher level thing. Maybe you think you're blessed by Hashem because you're maybe you've got what I got, that sense. But even I wear a mask. I put the mask on, even if it's not just. I mean, I know it's saving lives. I know when I put the mask on, I'm protecting the other person. I'm protecting myself. I mean, and I'm making every action an OFA. I don't know if you're doing that. You just know a lot of Torah. You think you know a lot of Torah. So if you haven't made your deeds exceed your knowledge and wisdom, then that's a dangerous thing to do. And I see a lot of Jewish communities getting it. So Orthodox Jewish communities, what are you guys doing? You got to set an example for the rest of the world. They're looking to you. Even if it's just out of the corner of their eye. They're looking to you. Okay, what are the Orthodox Jews doing? And that was a point I wanted to make too. You know, all of you, everybody who's observing false claims in the world, adhering to false claims based on my Torah. I don't even want to go there and have it come off my lips, as I always say. I don't want to. I don't need to. You just realize the truth. They're not giving you any way to get out of it. They're not giving you a way to get out of this virus because they're false. This is the only thing to get out. You try to keep the 7, the 6, 13, the 10, and you'll see Hashem will get rid of the virus. Worst comes to worse, even if it didn't happen that he removed the virus. You know, I'm just hedging my bet. You'll at least see the truth about life. And you'll feel happy and you'll thank me. I know you will. You'll say, all right. So, I mean, Hashem could have, look, I can't speak for him completely. He could do whatever he wants. It's his world. You know, the only thing I could speak for him is what he's told me to say in the Torah. I know that if we don't keep the mitzvahs, we get punished. If we don't fulfill these obligations, we get punished. So I'm just telling you what I know. That's what I say when I'm speaking for him. I mean, I'm not, you know. But he could do whatever he wants. If he wants to continue the virus even after, just to stick it to us, because we went so long without fulfilling his obligations, that would be his prerogative. Let him do whatever he wants. But at least then we could say, Hashem, we're all fulfilling your 7, 6, 13, and 10. We'd appreciate it if you'd stop this virus so that we could continue to serve you with complete joy, complete and utter joy, efficiency, and efficacy. I don't know if that's the correct word. Effectiveness, I don't know. But the point is that I'm making a general statement, and I'm strong on that statement. I'm 100% behind my statement. You fulfill these obligations, he should stop this virus logically. If he doesn't, then I also know in the Torah he could do whatever he wants. I know from my Rav, I know from my Masorah, my unbroken chain of teaching that I've learned, and I've learned from experience. You know how many times I thought I would get married, and he didn't bring the wife, or I thought it would be this girl, and it wasn't, and I thought this, and no, it wasn't, and blah, 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 blah. Until finally, it's my job to treat every, I don't know if I can go there on this one right now because it's too complicated. But point is that I know in my own life something is a promise, or I'm led to believe something would happen, and he don't come through for whatever reason. Maybe there's this other thing. Oh, that's too intense too. I can't. I got to edit everything too now. And you don't even want to tell me that you're watching and listening, and I got to edit everything because I don't know who I'm talking to. So I'm not gonna. You want to be there. You don't want to be part of this. You want to be like a little missing circle that's there, but I can't see it. Fine, be a missing circle, and I have to edit everything. I can't talk. Can't say what I want to say. All right, fine. But at least you'll know the truth of life. You'll know by fulfilling your obligations and abandoning all the false claims that are out there based on my Torah and not based on my Torah. You'll know what the truth is by just experiencing fulfilling the obligations and interacting with him. There is this point of interacting with him. He interacts with you. And the better you get, the more you do things correctly, and the more righteous and saintly and holy you become, the quicker he punishes you. You get punishment on the spot. It says a righteous man gets punished right away. Bam. Okay? So if worse comes to worse, you'll at least know the truth of life, and you won't even care about the virus. That's that's my attitude. Whatever, at times, I do care about the virus. I care, but I'm trying my best. I can't do more than what I'm doing. Come on. What can I do? I'm trying so hard. I got a fine balance here, trying to make everybody happy. Him, the parents, other people, you, me. I got to maintain I don't want to get burned out either. I got burned out before. I know what it feels like. You just want to throw in the towel and that's the end. I don't want that, so I got to pace myself. I can only do what I can do. I am 54. You're going to have these same questions about yourself, what you can do and can't do. You're going to have to come to some compromising practical solution as to how you should go forward in fulfilling the 6, the 7, the 6, 13, and the 10. So it's the best thing to do. It's the only solution. Fulfill those obligations. Okay. So I was saying 2:10 is do not be intimate with an animal. That's why I stopped saying, I say to the cat, well, no, that was for another reason. I used to call the cats very delicious. Oh, you're so delicious, and they come to me and they nuzzle up against me, the cats. But I didn't want to go, I wanted to give myself I didn't want to be over to violate or transgress the obligation. Don't eat the flesh or limb of an animal while it's still alive, because the whole world's so sensitive to it. I want to make myself even more sensitive to it, so I stopped saying that word to them. I don't say you're delicious anymore, you little kitties. I say you're so cute or something, and that's it, because I don't want to start something in my mind where I'm thinking of eating because they're so delicious. The next thing that's like I'm using a word from a different, again, those 10 exercises in logic, it comes from a different category of action, that could lead to an offense of an obligation, so I don't want to use a substitute for cute by saying delicious. Whatever, you'll realize all that stuff when you go through the 10 exercises of how to think, the 7, the 6, 13, the 10 steps to immortality. You'll get it. You'll get it. Do not be intimate with an animal. Vayikra 18:23, and the punishment is death by stoning and chores. Okay, 2:11, women, do not be intimate with an animal. So 2:10 was for men. I don't know why I didn't write that. I should have wrote men, but instead, maybe because 2:11, that's also an area of logic. If you know that 2:11 says women, you could probably assume that 2:10 is men, but sometimes you can't assume that either. You got to be meticulous in how you name something, but maybe Hashem made me make that mistake so that I could bring that out to you now to teach you about logic, which is important for understanding His wisdom. 2:11, women, do not be intimate with an animal. Source, Vayikra 18:23, same one as above. Punishment, death by stoning and chores. 2:12. Okay, now I drew a line because now we begin a whole new section of obligations. 2:12. Do fear your mother and your father. And I was taught it was worded mother and father first because you naturally fear your father because he's the man of the house. So Hashem puts mother first, so you'll fear her first, or that you should be aware. Do fear your mother and father. And I forgot the important lesson behind it, but it was something like that, and I can't remember what it was. Got so many things on my head here. Source, Vayikra. So 2:12. Do fear your mother and your father. Source, Vayikra 19:3. And the punishment is a positive precept, but can be renounced by father. So if you don't fear your mother and father, you can be renounced by your father. You don't want to get into this wayward kid stuff. There's a wayward child who doesn't fear his parents or is against his parents and hard to deal with. He's unruly. It has what to do with don't overeat and drink. I think that's mitzvah 248, if I'm not mistaken. 248. Do not overeat and do not overdrink, but it has something to do with a glutton and some kid that's like a wayward son. Now, I want to also make a mention that later on, when I categorize all these obligations in groups, you should know that obligation 33, these are the mitzvahs that have to do with your parents. For you Jewish people, my Jewish colleagues, brothers and sisters, we got obligation 33, do honor your parents. 260, I believe it is, don't curse your parents, do not curse your parents. And 48, don't strike your parents. Okay? If I had to put them in order, maybe I'd put them in do fear, do honor, don't curse, don't strike. Because if you don't fear your parents, you're probably not going to honor them. Or maybe it's the other, maybe honor could come before fear. I'll get to all that categorizing stuff later, but I'm just trying to be logical about this. I could have reasons to back either way. Maybe if you honor them first, then you'll come to fear them. Or if you fear them, but to honor them, you might have to fear them first, and then you certainly don't want to. So that's in your mind and in your thoughts and in your words and your actions. You don't want your words to start cursing them, because then you might come to strike them, God forbid. And that's bad. 48, I think I told you the punishment for 48. Right, you go back and check it. Maybe I should check it for you. Here, 48, do not strike your father or your mother. Source is Shmos 21:15, and it's death by strangulation is the punishment. Death by strangulation. All right, onward. Weiter, as they say. Onward there, whatever. 2:13. Don't turn to idol worship. Do not turn to idol worship in thought or speech, or even by looking, at the idol or something and wanting to do something to it or for it. Source, Vayikra 19:4, and the punishment is a flogging, whiplashes. whipping, not whiplashes. Whiplashes, yeah, well, you could say whiplashes, but I always thought when you're, God forbid, you're in a car and God forbid, like another car hits you in behind, you get whiplashes. Is that right? I'm confusing two words, or maybe the same word with two contexts. I don't know. He just got whiplashed. Going to an accident attorney. Did you have whiplashes? I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Sometimes your mind can get stumped. You know, the mind it's from Hashem too. He's got his finger in our head, so to speak. He's controlling us in a way. All thoughts come from him. All truth comes from him. All wisdom comes from him. It said in the Torah. All wisdom comes from Hashem. He knows every thought in our head. Well, how does he do that? He made us. We're part of him. We're part of that massive infinity called Hashem. So, some of these obligations have to do with our thoughts. And he knows what you're thinking. So you can't escape him. Okay, 2:14. Do not make an idol for yourself or for anyone else. Do not make an idol. Source, Vayikra 19:4. The punishment is flogging. 2:15. Do not eat nothar, the leftover meat of holy sacrifices. Source, Shmos 29:34. Vayikra 7:18. 19:6-8. The punishment is kores. Now, why was that put there in order? You have to know the story in the Chumash, in the 5 books of Moses, to know why that came right there. Actually, well, see, Vayikra, okay, I see. Vayikra 19:4, and this is 19:6-8. 2:14 and 2:15. Whatever, that's something to ponder later. 2:16. Because then it gives you an insight into how to fulfill those obligations. Hashem stuck it right there. Why? Maybe it has to do with the obligation that came before. There's some sensitivity that was brought out in the previous obligation that will help us fulfill the next obligation, possibly. 2:16. Do leave an edge of your field unreaped for the poor. Now, these are all sensitivity instilling obligations to be sensitive to the poor. I grouped them. They're all in groups of 2, and there are about 5 or 6 sets of these. Okay, and that's a good way to approach it. When you see it in categories, you can then memorize them faster as well. Okay, the source for that. 2:16. Do leave an edge of your field unreaped for the poor. The source, I think I put Vayikra 19:10, but there was another source that I didn't know. I couldn't quite find it or determine it or something. I had a question mark there. Punishment, positive precept and give, negative precept and flogging if you don't fulfill this. 2:17. Do not reap the very last end of your field. Do not reap the very last end of your field. Source, Vayikra 19:9. 19:9. Punishment is a negative precept, and you must give with question marks. Now I have an insight now that I didn't see before. It seems like 2:17 should be before 2:16 because the pasuk for 2:17 is the sentence in the Torah is 19:19 in Vayikra 19:9, and the obligation 2:16 has 19:10 in Vayikra as the sentence. So I don't know why it was listed this way. Maybe the way the Sefer HaChinuch wrote it, it has some insight. I forgot. I thought I read something like that too, and I forgot what that was. Not for now, for later. I'm just letting you know that these are the obligations. Even if they're out of order, they're still obligations. We have to fulfill them. 2:18. Do leave gleanings of your harvest for the poor. Source, Vayikra 19:10. Punishment, positive and give, negative and flogging. 2:19. Do not gather stalks of grain that fell away during your harvest. Source, Vayikra 19:9. So again, the previous pasuk. Punishment, negative and give with question marks. You guys should be thinking about all this and find answers. Why do I have to do all the work here? Figure it out. Maybe you'll come up with an insight. Let me know, and I'll somehow check it in my study, and we'll come to a conclusion later on. 2:20. Okay. 2:20. Do leave a part of your vineyard unreaped for the poor. Source, a part of your vineyard unreaped for the poor. Do leave a part of your vineyard unreaped for the poor. Each one of these has a different topic. One is the vineyard, one is the harvest. We have to leave for the poor, leftover parts of it. Do leave a part of your vineyard unreaped for the poor. Source, Vayikra 19:10. Punishment is a positive and give, negative precept and flogging. 2:21. Do not remove all the fruit of a vineyard. Okay. Source, Vayikra 19:10. It comes from the same pasuk on this one. Devarim 24:20 through 21. Chapter 24, verse 20 through verse 21. Punishment is negative, precept, and give. Unsure, with question marks. There's some question marks on most. Just for 2:20 had a question mark, and 2:21 has question marks on the punishment. 2:22. Do leave fallen grapes in a vineyard for the poor. By the way, I wrote all these out for you guys. Don't think that this is the first time you're ever hearing these. I gave you a list of them all, and I even read them all for you on a tape, on a recording, so you could just listen in the car, pop in the CD, or make a CD for yourself and listen to everything, and you'll know all the obligations. I do, and I've been going through them as best as I can, working on a lot of things. I'm trying to be consistent, but Hashem has His reasons for not making me consistent. I'm not at liberty to say they're my reasons, but whatever. I'm maybe He doesn't want you to see any greatness yet. He's timing everything too. Maybe, why should I show you greatness and learning yet? Maybe then you'll believe everything so quickly. Maybe, I don't know. Does He want you to suffer more with the virus? I don't know. It's like tenderizing a piece of meat. He's working on you. You want that? I'm giving you as a friend, as a colleague, a little advice. Be proactive. Take the initiative to learn your obligations. Fulfill the 7, 6, 13, and 10 steps into immortality, and do it yourself. Take charge of your own life and try to please Him. Don't let Him tenderize you with a virus, because He ain't making me do tricks. I'm not pulling rabbits out of a hat yet. I'm making every action an obligation, fulfilling action. I should be able to levitate pens with my mind by now, for crying out loud. Working so hard here. Think He could throw me a bone, But whatever. I'm not looking for any reward. I'm not looking to show off. I'm not looking to be a big Kanaka. I'm just trying to do the right thing, but I'm just saying, in estimation of what I'm doing daily, every second of every minute, an obligation for Him, 24 hours a day. You'd think I'd have some gift to show you, but I understand if He doesn't want it that way, it's because maybe He don't want you to be so amazed by... here's the point. He doesn't want you to be so amazed by the miraculous nature of being linked to Him. He wants you to be attached to the logic. The logic is solid as a rock. We could change the whole world with those 3 points that I've said to you so many times. There were 3 million witnesses that heard this information at Mount Sinai. We're alive in the world. The purpose of life is that we're, from that Torah, what was given to those 3 million witnesses, we have a Torah that was given. And in that Torah, I'm surmising and summing up for you that the purpose of life is that we're alive in this world to earn the life of the next world by fulfilling 7 obligations if you're not Jewish, and by fulfilling 613 obligations if you are Jewish, and by fulfilling those 10 steps to immortality, and striving to be immortal and giving Him what He wants. He wanted Adam Arishon, the first man, to live forever, so give it to Him. Let us all be immortal and make Him happy, make Hashem happy. And the third point Devarim 4:2 and 13:1. Chapter 4, verse 2 and chapter 13, verse 1. It says, do not add or delete anything from these obligations. 2 obligations. Excuse me. Pardon me. You know, I'm a musician. I'm in the arts. Hashem does something like that. It makes me have to blow my nose. I think it's for dramatic pause. Why would I put that into a piece? If I were writing a piece or an acting little skit or something, a scene, the guy blows his nose. He says a point, and then he has to blow his nose. So you get to think about what I just said. Devarim, verse 4:2 and 13:1. Do not add or delete anything from these obligations. It's in the 6:13. You're going to see it. There are 2 obligations. Do not add anything to these obligations, instructions. Do not delete anything from these obligations, instructions. Do not add anything to. Do not delete anything from. What was it? 495? No. Hold on a second. No. That was to listen to 495 and 496. Do obey the rabbis. That's the source for D'Oraisa and the Rabbanans. Those obligations that are made by the rabbis, they come from those 2 obligations. Hold on. I think it was. Boy, he's making me not think of it right now. It might be in the 500s. Do not add or delete anything from these instructions. Whatever, you got the psukim, you got the sentences in the Torah, even better, okay? But you could find it in the Sefer HaChinuch if you had to. But with those 3 points, 3 million witnesses, 7, 6, 13, and 10 obligations, and do not add or delete, that's the strong logic that shows you that this is the truth. This is the purpose of life, and if we don't fulfill it, we get punished. There's reward and punishment. There's punishment and reward, and you're experiencing it right now. You're all masked up and having to quarantine and this and that, and again, let's not forget the people who have the virus, who are suffering from the virus. You don't want to be that person, I'm telling you. You hear stories from them. This is not a lie. This is not a fictitious thing. This is not a made-up story. I know it was said on the news, when people don't have the virus or don't show symptoms, so they think, oh, it must be a fairy tale, But it's not. I know people that have cousins and grandparents and who have died. They're on Facebook. I just lost. And they say, I just lost this, I just lost that one, I just lost this one from the virus. I mean, these stories are not made up, and I know these people. So we have to help each other. We got to look out for each other. We are one team, whether we like it or not. We got to start acting like a team all the time. It's the pleasure seeking that tears us away from teamhood, from teamwork, from working as a team, because we start to pleasure seek. We want some pleasure for ourselves. And we want to forget about the other people, because it's a blessing not to have pleasure, because then you think about everybody else. You get self-satisfaction of giving pleasure to someone else or looking out for them. That's the way we should look at it. We can still have pleasure, but once we get on that, when everyone's fulfilling the 7, 6, 13, and 10, we'll please each other. And it'll be, like, as Rav Noach Weinberg used to say, it'll be one big pleasure inn, one big hotel of pleasure, so to speak, meaning that we're all trying to please each other in the name of Hashem, trying to make each of us a happy camper. I want you to be happy, so I'll please you, and you'll please me, and it's this circle of love that'll just keep us afloat. It's like a boat of love that we just float in, that keeps us above the water so that we don't drown in our own selfishness and pleasure seeking. Okay, where were we? We're almost done here. Hang in there. So I said 220 Do leave a part of your vineyard unreaped for the poor. Source Vayikra 19:10. I said all that already. 2:21. Also, do not remove all the fruit of a vineyard. Also from the same pasuk, and it's a negative precept. Punishment is a negative. It's Vayikra. Let me repeat this one. 2:21. Do not remove all the fruit of a vineyard. 2:21. Do not remove all the fruit of a vineyard. Source Vayikra 19:10 and Devarim 24 verse 20 to 21. I think I may have said that. Okay. Punishment is a negative precept, and you must give. I think it's giving the fruit. You still have to give the fruit, I think, or something in compensation. I'm not sure. 2:22. Do leave fallen grapes in a vineyard for the poor. Source Vayikra 19:10. Punishment is a positive, and give, negative, and flogging with question marks. 2:23. Do not gather fallen grapes in a vineyard. Source Vayikra 19:10. Punishment is negative, and give with question marks. Okay, now 2:24. Do not steal anything of value. Do not steal anything of value. Now that might be a pruta, just a nickel, but I'm not sure on that one. I know that the Gentiles have your obligation, do not steal, and you get death if you steal a nickel, a pruta. So I'm not sure what this is, but it says, do not steal anything of value. I'll get to it. I just know that it exists, and I try not to steal anything, God willing, if I can help it. Source, Vayikra 19:11. Punishment is a negative precept. Pay back double, 4 times, 5 times. Different situations where you pay back double, or 4 times, or 5 times the amount. And 2:25, and I made a note, by the way, 2:24 is also, I think, I had a question mark, was also part of the 7 obligations for the Gentiles. Obligation number 5 for them. Okay. 2:25, do not deny it when something of value that belongs to another is in our possession. Do not deny it when something of value that belongs to another person, that belongs to another, is in our possession. Source, Vayikra 19:11 and Vayikra 5:22. The punishment is a negative precept, but no flogging. Okay? And that's it for today with those obligations. Very nice. I hope that helped. I know it does help. Just being polite. All right. I love you guys very much. That's all I had to really say. Let's see if there's anything else I can mention. So take care of yourselves. Fulfill these 7, 6, 13, and 10 obligations to please Hashem. Take care of Him first as you take care of yourselves. Be safe. Wear the masks. Keep a distance from people, that 6-foot distance. You know, can never be too careful. I heard sometimes the 6 foot is not enough, whatever. And sometimes these things get airborne. Whatever. There's wind blowing. You don't know what. There's all kinds of factors that could step in and move stuff around. And then, so that was one point I wanted to make, is that in the end, Hashem's behind everything anyway, you know. So then don't freak out so much that you lose the joy of life or the will to live, or how do I say it in a nice way? Realize that He's in control and you can always turn to Him. If things get rough, cry to Him, man. Tell Him what's bugging you. And be honest with Him. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with Him. And pour out your heart like water, as the Torah says. Let it all hang out. Let it all come out. Tell Hashem what you're feeling. And Hashem, you know, I can't handle this, or you're bothering me, or I can't handle all this death around me, or this or that, or you whatever. Say whatever. I can't give you the word. You find your own words, but talk to Him and tell Him and care about each other. Make sure you wear the masks. Don't lose that sensitivity. And usually 9.5 times out of 10, it's because of pleasure seeking. You want to get to something that makes you happy, and you don't want to care about anybody else. You hear all the sass that goes on, you know, in these restaurants and bars in various places. Maybe people think a little differently, or there's less of a risk for the virus in more open rural areas, like, so they go to a restaurant, no one's wearing a mask, they're all getting together, but some of those people may have gone into the city to get food or brought it back, and they caught the virus along with and they're spreading it in the rural area. I mean, you can go through all kinds of possibilities and permutate the things and come up with scenarios and situations and circumstances, but they get real angry that they got to be bothered by putting on the mask, and yet then they catch the virus. So care about each other, and we're looking out for each other. And we certainly don't want to send our children to schools prematurely. Be sensitive to Hashem and this virus. My best advice is fulfill the 7, 6, 13, and 10, and you will not have to worry about all these things. Because I can't wrap my brain around all these factors. The contact tracing. Too many things, man. Too many variables. And then I keep it simple. Keep it simple. Just fulfill the purpose of life. And this punishment will end. That's how I view it. All right? I love you. Let me see where we are here. You've been listening to the Truth Seekers Show. The Truth Seekers Show number 10. The show that's specifically designed to help us to fulfill the purpose of life, our life purpose in this world properly, by giving information, motivation, pleasure, and healing. I've been your host for the evening, Rabbi Eliezer Karp. I hope you will take these points to heart, and I hope you will try to make our Creator happy by fulfilling the purpose for which He gave us life in the first place. I love you. Good night, guys.